Hi there, I'm Lori with Co-Creating-Impact, and it's timesunshine.com. We are here with our friend Tina. Hello, how are you doing?
Hi, Lori. Thanks for having me today.
Thanks for coming on. So we just wanted to find out a little bit about your backstory, who you are as a person, and what stressors, what tools and resources you might have used in the past that have worked for you in times of stress.
Awesome. Well, thank you. So I go by Fantastic T on all my socials, but my name is Tina in real life, and so I'm an independent mother of 3 amazing, beautiful children, and so a little bit about me and sort of how I came to be in this whole world of especially TikTok, where we met. But it started back in 2010 after I had my son, and I got into the world of bodybuilding, and I started to want to get my life back together and wanted to basically, I was feeling after having 3 children, he was my last, and I was feeling really down on myself. I'd lost a lot of who I was. It felt, I was out of shape, and, I couldn't keep up with my family. I was feeling really exhausted all the time. So I decided I was going to hit the gym, which sort of spiraled into me becoming an absolute fitness guru. I became a fitness instructor and then went on to going into the competition world. And so for a few years, I competed and made it to a national level in a short period of time, which was such a gift. Yeah,
Congrats.
Thank you. It was a really neat part of my life. The downside of that part of my life is that there's always beauty that comes out of it. There's also a dark side. And for me, it was that it was stemming from not feeling like I was enough, and I needed to prove myself. And so it was, part of old stories from my past. And so I was striving to prove to everybody that I was good enough. And it was also coming from a love of fitness, and, I really enjoyed it, and I felt really healthy and vibrant. But also I recognize now, looking back, that I was definitely feeding a story inside of myself. And so after my last competition, my life fell apart, and I chose to step away from my marriage and walked away from my husband, who was my lifetime, forever, human favorite partner and soulmate and idol. So that was a really hard time. It came with a lot of shame. I went from feeling like I was this inspirational person in my town. I had, people were constantly looking up to me and asking me questions. And then I found that I felt kind of like I went from this like inspirational person to being sort of like this person that everybody talked about overnight, because I had left my relationship and the stories that came with that. So it was a hard time for me. I felt like my life kind of crumbled overnight, and all of a sudden everything that I created about myself was gone. I'd created this, I was this fitness persona. They actually called me the fitness queen. They did a story on me. The local video TV did a story on me, and they called me the fitness queen. And so I had this sort of persona, and and unfortunately it had started to go to my head. I'm not going to lie. It created a sense of ego and a sense of belonging that was also feeding a really negative side of myself. So so overnight I felt like I completely lost who I was. With that was the beauty of that my ego felt like I'd shed my ego. When you're facing shame and you're facing hard feelings, and and all of a sudden, where I was inspiring people, now people were judging me. And anyhow, so it was a really humbling experience that I think was really important for my growth. And from that, it's basically spiraled into the person that I am today. And so I have used a significant amount of tools to help get me to where I am today. And being back on social media has been difficult for me, because I had a pretty difficult, challenging Facebook addiction through my process of becoming a fitness person. I was starting to really relish in the validation and that kind of thing. So I stepped away from social media for a long time, because I couldn't handle I judged that side of myself. And so me being on TikTok now has been interesting, because I'm like, am I safe here? Am I comfortable? Can I put myself out there safely? Am I connecting with ego again? That kind of thing. So it's been really interesting. So it's been part of a journey.
And it's so much more of a community, don't you find?
Yes. Yeah. I'm absolutely loving being on TikTok. I've found that I've really connected with a creative side of myself that's been really important. But it came with this feeling of like vulnerability, right? Like putting yourself out there, and creating silly content and being my true, like who I am, my silly, crazy, all the things self, putting it out there, it's like what might be comfortable for me to post on TikTok might not be comfortable for somebody like that's close to me, that follows me, that might, make a comment or whatever. So I definitely felt a sense of vulnerability, but it's been amazing. It's been so good for me, especially through COVID. And something that people don't know about me is I'm a counselor by day. I'm an adult and couples counselor with Canadian Mental Health. But I also am part of the suicide prevention team in BC. So I manage crisis lines. So my daytime work is heavy. Hearing the cries of the world is not easy. And so putting myself out there in a fun and creative way through TikTok has been really positive for me. So.
Sorry, my battery is dying. Okay. Hopefully Mikey can check that. Okay. And so, a TikTok is a complete different vibe. And from that heaviness that your day job brings and just to be able to play over there on TikTok and go into different lives and get to know people on a fun basis, really. And now we're bringing it over to Clubhouse and creating even more community. And so that's fantastic. So what do you do on a daily basis? What are your top 2 self-care essentials on the daily?
On a daily. Okay. So self-care, good question. So to fill myself up, my happy place is either being outside or in a hot bath or by water. That's my sort of like go-to when I need to ground myself or I'm feeling overwhelmed. So those are my happy places. And then as far as self-care, obviously time with my beautiful children. They fill me up. They teach me something every day. They're amazing humans, and I'm proud to call myself their mom. But also I find that one of the biggest things for me in terms of self-care is being very aware, just self-awareness, asking myself, questions, how am I showing up? How can I be better? What's the greatest version of myself? Am I living my rich and juiciest life in this moment? What do I need to do? What do I need to change? So that's been really significant in my growth for sure.
What made you turn to become a counselor?
Good question. So I used to actually, when I was bodybuilding, I worked at Safeway in my town for 27 years, and I worked in the bakery. So I iced cinnamon buns for a living and packaged donuts and fresh bread all day long, as I was literally couldn't even put a carrot or a piece of fruit in my mouth. It was crazy. So interesting enough, after my life fell apart, I started to do a lot of self-awareness exercises and became very aware of where I was showing up in healthy ways in my life and what things in my life were not working for me. And one of the things was this place that I worked at for 27 years had become a security blanket for me, and that I knew how to do my job. I felt safe there. The people that I'd worked with, I'd known forever. They were like family. But I felt like every time I went to work, a piece of me died when I walked through the doors. I wasn't learning anymore. It was a job that I could literally do in my sleep. I wasn't growing. I wasn't gaining any new information. I tried everything I could. I think you get a sense of who I am. I'm a pretty jolly, charismatic person. I try to make my day great as best as I can, but I was just simply finding that that I was dying inside, my soul was dying. I was not living in my soul's purpose. And so I started to do some serious self-reflection, and I went away to Bowen Island on a retreat, and it's called Living Your Best Story. And it was an amazing weekend of self-discovery. And I came home with this awareness of that, okay, I've done some pretty big drastic changes in my life by stepping away from a marriage that I felt I needed to and go through some growth process. But in that, I recognized that I still had this big piece of my life that was still holding me back. And so I did some journaling while I was there, sat by the side of the ocean, and basically just said, what do I need? And I felt what I wrote in my journaling notes was that I felt like I was like an animal in the zoo or a bird in a cage, where you were safe, you had everything that you needed given to you, you were looked after, you didn't have to worry. But in that, I felt like I was dying. And so that was my big epiphany. And then I didn't know what I was going to do. Here I was an independent mother. Now I'd stepped away from my marriage. My job at Safeway was my security blanket that I was going to walk away from. And one day I was in the freezer at work and some boxes came down on my head and I just had this monster meltdown. I started sobbing and crying in the cooler, and I was just like, this is not where I'm meant to be. This is not my place. This is like, I am not in alignment with who I'm supposed to be, but I also didn't know what I was supposed to be. And so I kind of just stopped in that moment, just said, like, what is it I'm supposed to be doing? What is my purpose? I know this is not it. I know moving boxes in this freezer is not my lifetime purpose. And so I went back on my day and I kind of just begged, like I just begged for a sign, like, tell me what it is I was supposed to do. And I went back to work, and it was about an hour later, a friend of mine came into the store and they were standing at Starbucks. And I knew they were trying to get my attention. I really could sense that. And so anyway, they came over and started chatting to me, and they were going through a very similar experience that I had just lived with, wanting to step away from a marriage and not feeling, fulfilled, but all the feelings that come with that with your kids, and the heartbreak, and that, families that break up, and friends that aren't accepting of it. And so for about 10 minutes, this person walked over and they were super heavy. Like, you could just see the sadness. You could see that they were really struggling with these really harsh emotions. And I had a conversation, sort of a little bit about how I had gone through and what it was like, and, kind of lightened the load a bit. And I noticed when that person walked out, they walked out taller. They walked out feeling better about their decisions. They felt more like it was okay to make these hard changes, right? Yeah. And I sat there, and in that moment, I was like, that's what I was meant to do. I was meant to, and I got chills on my body right now.
I literally did too. That was your sign.
I know. It was like, that was my sign. It was like, I begged. I was like, I need a sign, because I literally don't know what it is I'm supposed to do, but I know this isn't it. And I think back, Lori, to like my bodybuilding days. I was a fitness instructor. I would run secret things on the side, like women, like helping women find their strongest selves. And I would run, fitness training camps, and like, I was always helping people. I'd stay afterwards, and people that were struggling with their fitness goals would stay, and like I'd inspire them. And so really I go back, even right back to elementary school, helping kids in the coat closet that were crying. Like, it's just been my life purpose. I just didn't realize it. So,
or didn't know the place to go, where it was going to come. Yeah,
for sure. So of course, now, as I said before, I'm an independent parent. I'm like, my kids have been through enough with the separation and, moving homes and all of that. I'm not now going to take off and go to school and go to school to become a counselor. So I was able to find a school that resonated with what I needed. I could do it online, and I was able to go to school and become a counselor. And so that's kind of how that journey began. And I don't look back. It's been super awesome.
That's beautiful. And all the people that you have an impact on so many people's lives with doing all that, and just even that person that was at the Safeway, and just throughout your whole entire life. Now, who had the biggest impact on your life?
I have to say, two people stand out to me. My ex-husband, for one thing, he was a significant role in my life for a lot of years. We were together married for 13 years. And he taught me a lot about who I wanted to be as a parent. He's an amazing father. I'm so blessed to have a really great father for my children. Where my weaknesses are, he was strong, and where his weaknesses were, I was strong. And so together we made a really great team. But he taught me how to play. I was raised as I was an only child. My parents were super busy not raising a business, but running a business. And, I was raised and modeled to be an adult. I was raised to, be respectful, and I didn't play the way I think I could have. So I learned to play through him, and that was a really big gift for me. He was a huge, I look up to him, and I even found on days, when we were married, I'd wake up and I'd be like, okay, tomorrow I'm going to be as good as him. I'm going to be as fun as him. And so even though that was hard for me, because there was that measuring stick, he set the bar high for me, and he taught me that I want to be more like him as a parent. So I really hold gratitude for that. And the second person was my counselor that I had when I did separate, and going through the struggle and all the feelings and the emotions and the hard times. And I had an amazing counselor that really was very spiritual. She brought a really shamanic practice, and she just really, she worked on an empowerment model as well, very similar to I do. But she helped me see where I was struggling. She helped me shine lights on the parts of myself that I really wanted to improve, like in terms of insecurities and and boundaries. Like I wasn't taught healthy boundaries as a child. I was taught to be a people pleaser. You know, it's what people think of you as what your reputation states. It's not about how good you are. So every time I made a mistake, I was shamed and whatnot. So anyway, so I hold huge kudos to my counselor, because she really, I don't know that I would have made it through without her.
And to have a good counselor and then to become a good counselor. So there you are, the full
Great
circle.
tool. Yeah.
Thank you, Tina. You're such a joy. I really appreciate you, and thank you for your time.
Yeah. Thank you for having me.
All righty. Bye.